it.
Hello, everybody. I am Ray Michaelis, and today I'm here with Tyler Preston.
Hey guys.
I'm having a hard time with screen share, though. Like, I'm trying to use screen share, and it's not working right now. So it's
Oh,
being glitchy. Maybe I could just send you the links to the articles and you could screen share, but for
well,
some
I think
reason,
I have a
screen
link right
share.
now. I could probably do it from hold on 1 second. Uh. So let's
I'll
this.
send you the link. Here it is. It's on the side chat. Oh, you already got it up.
I already got it.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna hit present to everyone. There we go.
So basically, we're gonna cover about this black-only classes at local colleges, and we're gonna talk about, of course, the controversial comments from Jordan Peele, and that had like a lot of like conversations on Twitter and social media. So, which one do you want to start first?
I was thinking we could start first with the blacks only classes.
Okay, black-only classes at local colleges designed to improve students' success. Oh my God, I don't know where to begin with this.
It's like they're saying that black people are stupid.
Yeah. This is almost like freaking segregation kind of material. Just like people like Martin Luther King kind of, fought against this kind of stuff, and now they want to have it back. It's just so funny to me. Let's see.
Because I mean, there's gonna be like some impoverished white kid that can't keep up with people either.
Right. A couple of daily Southtown readers want to know why Moraine Valley community students restrict enrollment in some classes to black onlys. While helping my son register for college, we noticed that the required course, College 101, has two sections limited to African American students. He wants to know why there are not two sections limited to Asian American students or Native American students.
Well, it's probably because Asians are seen as very smart. So it's like, well, you're smart, so we don't need it. I mean, it is like it seems to be calling black people stupid, but in a roundabout way.
It's kind of funny because I remember reading just like a few weeks ago how there's some sort of lawsuit from Asians towards Harvard University.
Oh yeah, because I mean, it would be harder for an Asian to get into Harvard than any other racial group.
Yeah, because apparently, according to a report, they said that basically they're trying to add and reduce points based upon like a person's race, and that's just crazy because you're literally discriminating against people because of their race.
Yeah, it's because Asians are seen as smart, but I think it's because I mean it straight in like Japan and Korea, there is a stronger work ethic. It's not that they are naturally. It's not like they're born smart. It's that like the classes are longer. They spend a longer time studying.
Right, like it's so different than the schools here. Like basically the schools here we have like more vacation time than they do. And I'd heard that they also work like on the weekends too for like school days, whereas we take a weekend off.
Yeah, it's kind of like they are being race realist here. The way it's set up that's actually confirms race realism as opposed to challenge race realism. Because for such a long time, Japanese people would work 6 days a week, instead of, but while Americans, we take the weekend now, take the weekends off. But for a long time, they changed it. I don't know when they changed it, but for a long time, Japanese people would go to school for 6 out of 7 days. But they changed it to get the weekends off, though.
Wow, I guess we're just so lucky because I cannot imagine just being in school every single day of the week. As oh my goodness, like it's already kind of sufferable doing it like 5 days a week. I can't imagine seven, like every single freaking day, every
No, no,
single
no,
week.
I said 6 days a week. It
Oh,
used to
six
be
days a week. Okay.
yeah, used to be 6 days a week, and they used to
Wow.
get, like I think it would be like they get Sunday off, but they changed it recently. I don't know how when they changed it, but, my Japanese friend, he lives in, like, Chiba. He told me that now that Japanese people, they get the weekends off, but for a long time, they used to work 6 days a week.
Okay. Okay. Let's continue on with the article. Another reader sent me a copy of course listing. Sure enough, the 1 credit hour full semester course, colleges, changes, challenges, choice. There's a note that registration for some selection is limited to African American students. The course meets for 8 weeks. The students get together for nearly 2 hours per session in a discussion and lecture format. All full time students at Powell's Hills Bay School are required to take the course their first year. The course provides an opportunity to assess your purpose for college, assess your study strategies, assess college and career goals, examine your values and decision-making skills, and develop an appreciation for diversity. But it's not diverse. If you have an all-black class, it's not diverse. Where's the diversity?
They're teaching Black people about diversity.
Mm.
That's interesting. Let's see. Let me reread that again. It says their purpose for college. I think it's because Black people, like when you look at statistics, Black people tend to do poorly than any other race.
Right, like they happen to, I think, drop out more than like the other races in this country. And it's kind of sad. Like I think there might be like some factors on why that happens. Like I don't want to sound stereotypical, but like sometimes like the schools they're not really well equipped compared to like the other well funded schools, and so the material tend to be like a more lesser quality. The building is not like as nice compared to other like higher classic schools. And also, of course, there's the neighborhood. Like some think that, of course, like the way to survive for the world is to go into gangs and, of course, do a lot of stuff. So I think there might be a number of factors on why they might not do as well. For my case, when I was growing up, of course, I had a nice neighborhood. I didn't think that I need to go to like this kind of stuff to, be successful. I worked really hard. I got my diploma without being a victim. And obviously, of course, I have a successful YouTube channel. So,
Yeah, but I mean, if I recall correctly, like it's been a while since I read the article, but I think that
so
24% of Black people are illiterate or something like that. And it's kind of like I've actually worked with Black people, and it's kind of a lot like they had to write like a statement. And when they when you look at their writing, you could tell that they could, that's that they could barely read. You could tell that they are a poor reader because it's multiple misspelled words. They just don't really. It's like they have only a fifth grade education, even though they're grown.
Oh, like in my personal experiences, I have not seen that yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if that there are some people who are illiterate. Like when I was growing up, I had like books like Harry Potter. I had books like Captain Underpants and other kind of novels like Holes, I believe it was like a movie based upon that book. It was called Holes, where a bunch of kids went to summer camp in Texas, I think, to dig holes. So I read a lot of books while growing up, and so basically I just learned how to read by just being taught to read and just to read novels because of my interest in books back then.
Yeah, so I mean, they are coming from somewhere like like 24% of Black people are illiterate. I mean, I need to find that website again, but it's talked about the Black literacy rates, how It's not all that well in comparison to the rest of the country. Then there's the black dropout rates, and I think that they're trying to correct certain issues. But if it's a public college, then everybody's taxes are going into something that only benefits one group of people.
Okay, let's continue on with this article. Let's see. Higher education love research, and research shows that college readiness courses like the one at Moraine Valley improve students' retainment and graduation rates. Evidence supports the practicing of restricting enrollment in a class to Black only because outcomes show students are more likely to achieve academic success through interventions like peer support. Still, the complex concept could be difficult to grasp. While peer support may improve success rates among African American students, the reverse, is not necessarily also true. Imagine the outrage if, in this day and age, students registering for class were confronted with sections assignment. I support research-based initiatives shown to improve success rates. I'm not personally bothered that some sections of the course are available to Black students. However, I had to learn more about the course to find out how a class with only African American students is able to develop an appreciation for diversity. Let's see. Is there any more? I think. Hold on. Yeah.
It could set the precedence for, whites only classes.
Yeah, like I don't think people would actually just say, okay, white only classes are okay because, there might be some sort of outrage for that. But for
Yeah,
some
but
reason, if
now
it's like
people
the
are gonna go like,
like
what about fairness? If blacks only classes could exist, then why shouldn't whites only classes exist? Fair is fair.
right, right.
Yeah, because I think like a college is public. It's meant for everybody. Now, if they want something like a blacks only study group, if it's like private, like if a church was doing it, I personally wouldn't give a damn. But a school is public; it's not private.
Right, it's kind of ties into like the conversation about Jordan Peele, and of course the comments that he made was of course very controversial. So let's see, anything more interesting about this article? Anything else? I think yeah, we went through the bulk of the article. Hold on, let me try to switch this thing off. There, much better. But yeah, this whole entire article about like Black only classes is just, I think it's dumb. Like I don't like basically people like Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and other peoples in the civil rights movement, they wanted to not have segregation, and now people want segregation again. It's so strange.
Yeah, I mean, because I do think something like this will backfire because people are going to be like, well, there's going to should be whites only courses now, but it's like again, I could see where they're coming from, the black literacy rate. Like, black people are more likely to be illiterate. Black people have a higher dropout rates. When you look at, white people tend to graduate from college more often. So it seems like they're trying to have some type of remedial course. That's what it seems like. It seems like a remedial course for people who probably have like a 2.8, 2.8, what's it, grade points average GPA,
GPA.
and to try to like get things up. But to me, this would be better for a private group than something public like a college. Like if the church was doing it, like if a black church was, doing it, or a type of charity was doing it, then to me there is no issue. But a college is meant for everybody because white people are paying for college. So it's like if a white person is paying for college and that college isn't serving them, then why should a white person go?
Right, and not to mention, like, there's also some sort of concept of like after school hours, like basically after the course is over, a person can just go to a professor in his office and have tutoring that way, or just go to the college campus's tutoring service and get help from there too.
Well, I hear it's because well, could how many black people could afford a tutoring service
I don't
though?
think it's like it doesn't have like it's comes with like the tradition. I think for like when you pay for college, it comes with the tuition.
Yeah.
So basically, they could just go to the tutor, ask for help. You don't have to pay for it because it's already covered by the expenses that you pay for the college.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I do think that there are. I do think it's hard to explain because you probably. I know that what I'm going to say is going to be a bit controversial, but you probably haven't seen this video. Well, this interview with Mr. Medicare, where Medicare actually wanted to be a school teacher. He actually was going to be teaching little kids at school, and he wanted to teach little kids in particular. And in this interview, Medicare revealed that, if a black kid is failing, that he should pass them anyway. You know, yeah, and I'll send you the link to the interview because I had to save it because I was like, what? Whoa. But in his states, he's like from like what's it, Wisconsin or something. And when he was in college to be a teacher, he was like, "Hey, this kid, he's not doing so well, and he really needs tutoring because I can't pass him." And the school told him that if a black kid is failing, to just go ahead and pass him anyway, to just
Oh
go
my
ahead and send
god.
him to the next grade. And I will send you the link to
Oh my god. Just
it.
that sounds so awful.
Yes, so it's kind of because people want to be progressive on the outside and have, be progressive on the outside, have a good image. Like, look at how, the diverse we are. It sets black people up for failure because they do not get the help that they need.
Oh my fucking that is like some major level of bigotry of low expectations. Like like if any other kid are destined to fail, like if it was like a white student, they would not do any favoritism at all. Like what the hell is that?
Well,
Wow.
they want to have a good image of being diverse and progressive. And, they don't want to fail a black kid because if they fail a black kid, that might look racist. So they
Oh
go ahead
my
and pass
fucking
them.
god. Uh that is so that's like the most ridiculous thing I've heard all day. It's so dumb. Like,
Yeah,
like if I was a teacher, right, and the student is failing, I would not just pass them because they're of skin color. Like that is just racist of me if I were to do that. I don't have.
yeah, but unfortunately, things like that happen. Like even when I was working, in the guidance counselor of a black school, I saw like the report cards, and the report cards were like it was like straight up like C's and D's, and but yet those kids still go ahead and get passed on to the next grade.
No, that's crazy. Like if people got like D's, E's, like basically that's of course a way to go and repeat the class again. If we have like a normal student.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like even when I was working at a black school with, you don't really see any white kids, there, but the report cards were like C's and D's, but they still just go on to see the next grade. And I mean, that wasn't the only thing that bothered me. What bothered me the most was I was walking down the halls and I was crossing the eighth grade hall, and you would not believe this because for me, like this was just, it was perhaps one of the most shocking experiences of my life. They were like learning, the states. They were like learning states names and capitals in the eighth grade.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, and like, like another day that I was like walking the halls of the eighth grade, they were like learning like Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. And it's kind of like you have a bunch of eighth graders learning something that I learned back when I was in the second grade. What's going on?
Wow, that is so strange because I remember hearing about all this kind of stuff when I was like in elementary school. And this is like this is eighth grade?
Yeah, this is a bunch of eighth graders in a black school.
Oh my god. Oh, ugh. My brain is hurting right now.
Oh, I have a link inside check of the Hollywood Reporter that talks about Jordan Peele.
Okay. But I kind of already know the quotation from like Jordan Peele, so like basically to sum up the article from what I've seen so far. I mean, like there's a lot of articles though. Like there was like the most famous one from like the Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah, that's
And
the one I sent you on side chat.
okay. And so basically, like it says that Jordan Peterson, I mean, not Peterson. What am I talking about? Jordan Peele. Oh, I'm thinking about Jordan Peterson right now.
Oh,
But
I made the exact same mistake like I thought. Jordan Peterson, it's like no Jordan Peele, and I
are
just
you
because their names are so similar. They both it's like Jordan P, and it's like I keep going Peterson. It's like oh no, Jordan
Oh my
Peele.
god. Yeah, exactly. It's almost like almost the same, but anyway, Jordan Peele said that he does not see himself just casting a white person as the lead role. And it's not because he hate white people, according to the quotation, but it's because he just want to make movies, I guess, for African American demographic, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's not because he hates white people. He just, want there to be more representation of black people. And I mean, I could see both the positive side of it, and I could also see the negatives of it because it does sound terribly racist. Like, what if a white person says, well, I am only going to hire white people, but I think where he's coming from is that okay, like for me when I was growing up, it's kind of like most of the TV shows were predominantly white, and sometimes you would not see a single black person in sight. And the only time you could see a black person would be to go to BET, and I think the WB was another one, like
And
because
there was also that show that was really famous. It was the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, excuse me.
yeah, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But it's like
Mm.
when I was growing up, it's kind of a lot like sometimes like you would not see like a single
Okay.
black person in like BET was the one that would have all the black shows. The WB, I think that's another one because that had the Wayans brothers. If you're lucky, like if you watch Nick at Nights, I think it was Nick at Night, you can watch Sanford and Son and the
What about
Jeffersons.
like the Bill Cosby show?
Yeah, I think that came on at Nick at Night, and also
Okay.
when I grew up on basic cable. I didn't have like, like 600 TV shows. I had like the poor person's TV, because I grew up in the ghetto, and growing up in the ghetto, I just got the basic cable, so I only got like I don't know, 24 different channels.
Okay, judging from like his comments, I want to have a few points to make. Like, as far as horror movies are concerned, I honestly have not seen that many black-led movies that actually had, like, horror elements to it. Like, the only real ones that I can remember, like, from the past that actually had, like, a black lead role was actually a movie that was called, Blackula. And basically, Blackula is just as it sounds like Black Dracula. It was, like, made in the 1970s. That's, like, the only kind of real horror movie that I saw with a black person as the lead. And so when I saw movies like Get Out and also more recently Us, they're like the first kind of black led horror movies that I've seen. So that was pretty interesting. Like, I honestly think that Get Out might be a better movie than Us because I was kind of disappointed with Us compared to Get Out. But overall, these like those two movies were like the first ever black led movies that I've seen more recently of recent start. And so like people like to say that they want to see like more characters who are diverse. And sometimes of course companies like to shoehorn characters that are already pre-established. And so it's pretty good that people like Jordan Peele want to make characters who are diverse, who actually are original compared to just using a pre-established character. And so that's pretty refreshing to me.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, like I was thinking the necessity, and there's like more to the quote. Let me see. He says, every 2 weeks I go, what the fuck am I doing? I'm writing a movie where a black man is victimized and all the white people are evil, and I am trying to get the audience to have fun.
Right,
But
right,
if
right.
you
Like when I
could
see horror movies, like sometimes the black person is like the first person to die. There's some kind of truth behind the stereotype. Like it's not like, the white person that always died the first. Like I guess it depends on the movie, but like obviously the black guy kind of dies first in these movies.
Yes, yes. So for me, I don't really have a problem with more diversity. Like my issue with progressives is like forcing people to do something that they don't want to do, like demanding Steven Spielberg more black people when it's kind of like that could backfire in of itself because if you don't know any black person and you write a stereotype, that could backfire.
Right, right, right. And also, one thing I noticed about the movies that he made is for starters, like, you have all these people together, like, of course, and they're doing the little horror movies. Like, they're actually done on a really small budget too. Like, I think Get Out was, what was it, $10 million to make? And the other movie for us, it was like 20 million, yeah, $20 million to make. And they did so fantastic at the box office. Like, I think right now, the movie like Us has like I think gross $70 million that I think so far, and I'm probably gonna make even more money by the upcoming weeks. And so it kind of shows that basically like people are interested for these kind of movies because people see original characters, and obviously the concepts are interesting for people.
Yeah, I mean, even with Black Panther, I mean, again, to save money, I go to the matinee. Like, I like to watch movies like really, really early. So I catch the 2 o'clock where it's going to be cheaper instead of the 10 o'clock where I had to spend more money. Well,
Right, like
actually,
it's like
actually,
every time like you go to the movie theaters, it's just so expensive. Like if you go to places, it's like 11, $13 per ticket to see a freaking movie. And that does not cover like the prices for the food too, like the popcorn and everything else is so ridiculous in prices. It's so ridiculous. Like the only real time you get like a discount is if you like you're like a AMC member or something, or if you actually go on Tuesday, they give you like tickets for $5 on Tuesday at AMC.
yeah, yeah. So I went and I watched the matinee, and I mean, it was crowded as fuck. I mean, it was hard to find a seats, and it was, like I was probably one of the very few black people in there. Many white people wanted to see it because I mean, well, black people were a minority. Yeah, you know that we're a minority, and it's like white people wanted to see something original too. They wanted to see something different. It's kind of like it reminds me of how like I would sometimes keep up with Japan. Well, I keep up with Japan a little bit, and sometimes the most popular person would be the black guy that can speak Japanese because it's so different. It's so unusual because Japan is like
Yeah,
98.9%.
like Japan is like mostly how was that word to describe like a group of people? Homogenous,
Homogeneous?
homogenous, yes,
Homogeneous.
homogenous.
Yeah, Japan is very homogeneous, where it's kind of a lot like Black people are pretty much non-existent in Japan. So it's kind of like when a black person goes to Japan and they speak fluent Japanese, they're like instantly a celebrity. Like, I mean, let me send you a music video. Let me send you like a music video where where singers found a black people and they couldn't like wait until like to get them in the music video, and it's pretty cool.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's called Psycho Diva by Born, and you can see them having black people on the side, and yeah, here's the
Yeah,
link. It's
like
gonna please
I guess when you go to a place where there's not many black people, I guess the first kind of stereotype they put on you is like you must be like Michael Jordan or someone who just played basketball or something.
Yeah, like, and I send you the link. The link is in side chat. It's Psycho Diva by Born, and they just got black people and they put it in the music video because it's kind of like, or it's kind of like, it's kind of like when a black person goes to Japan and they speak fluent Japanese, like, it happened to this one black guy, and he's called the Black Tiger Woods or whatnot, and or he's referred to as Tiger Woods, and Japan loves him because he's so unique, his difference, because Japanese people are used to being homogenous. They're not used to seeing, I mean, they do see foreigners, but they are tourists and they could barely speak Japanese. Their Japanese is horrible and awful, and then they just disappear. So it's kind of a lot like for them to see a black person for the first time, it was there was a shock value. Like they were shocked, surprised, the music. They're like, "Whoa! I can't believe it!" Like, "Wow, I can't believe this. What am I seeing right now?" You know?
Right. Like I guess it's kind of common to see Gaijin who are like, Caucasians. And sometimes when I watch like these Japanese shows, sometimes they have like the Gaijin, of course, speaking fine Japanese, but like there's never like a black person just speaking fluent Japanese. And so I can see why they're kind of, surprised about that.
Yeah, and I think that is also why, the theaters, like, it's kind of like, even though, like, I was like, I wouldn't say I was the only black person there, but, the seats were filled, and there was just like a bunch of white people enjoying themselves. And, I live in a state where Donald Trump won by a landslide, and people are still were like really excited to see it because I think it's more unusual. Like, people are more used to seeing, I don't know, they're Superman, Batman, and whatnots. And for them to see something like this, it's an alternative experience.
Right. Like I guess what's so funny about this is that like what is like normal for us is kind of different for them because in America, like I think you mentioned earlier, we have people from all over the world. Basically the entire world is our background. And so it's kind of normal for us to just see people from everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's true. Like, I mean, we do because at work, I found a little surprised because, you know, I grew up in the ghetto, so I was used to seeing black people, but I went to a white school, and I never really saw any Asians. When I was in school, I never ever really saw an Asian, like maybe like one, two, three Asians. So I was surprised at this new job that I'm at. I am so surprised to see so many Asians because I had no idea that we had this many Asians in my state. Like I would see like Asians coming and it's like we had this many Asians in my states and I had no idea about it because I'm not used to seeing that. It was a surprise for me, like it was, a shock because again, like I never see them. Like when I go to Walmart, I don't see them. When I go to the gas station, I don't see them. I mostly see white people everywhere. So when I saw so many, like, I don't know, 200, 300 Asians, like Koreans, at the workplace, it's like, I'm surprised. I was like
Yeah.
legitimately shocked.
Yeah, for my case and the place where I live at, like I guess the only time I've seen an Asian in the part that I live in is probably like the Chinese or Asian food markets where you can just buy like the food like beef and broccoli or orange chicken or somewhere to see Asian people. But
Yes,
that's pretty much like it from my neighborhood.
yes, so it's kind of like when I went to work and I see like I don't know hundreds of Koreans, like they're not Chinese, they're Koreans. I just see hundreds of them. It was a shock for me because I never really saw a Korean person before until now. Like I'm not saying that like they don't exist in my state, but I never really seen one before
I don't think
until.
I've ever met a Korean person ever. The most that I know about Korean culture is just the K-pop stuff and the Korean dramas. When I was in Hawaii for vacation, like pretty much almost every other channel that I saw on the station there were either like Japanese stuff that were translated with English subtitles or Korean dramas. And so that was like the first time I see something that was related to Korea was through Hawaii in my vacation time.
Yeah, so it's kind of like when I would see Korean signs everywhere. So it's like maybe I should learn Korean, but Korean is far harder than Japanese. Like when I looked at a Korean, like I was like, well, I am surrounded by hundreds of Koreans. Sometimes they try to talk to me in Korean, and it's like, okay, these people are trying to talk to me in Korean. Maybe I can learn some. It's like Korean is far more difficult than Japanese.
In terms of like the
Japanese is much
pronunciations,
easier.
like
Huh?
I guess it's harder because of the pronunciation, or is it because of the way they write the characters?
No, the characters are easy. The characters are much easier than Japan. It's the pronunciation.
Okay. Because
The
I noticed like when people just look at like anime for days and days and days, like it's super easy to just, replicate what they just said. But as far as just writing it's not just for Japanese or Korean, but like any Asian language, like it's so hard to just memorize just the characters because it's like we're so used to using the Latin-based system because obviously it's used for the grammatical languages, the Romance language. So when you go into like a something like a system that's different compared to like the Latin-based system, it's gonna be super hard to just memorize. Super.
well, the difference between Japanese and Korean is that when it comes to Korean, the pronunciation is as hard as fuck, but the writing system is actually easy to pretty much easier to pick up on. It's easier to like, pick up on the writing because they only have 23 letters, which is less than English. English is like 25 or 27 letters, but in Korean there's only 23 letters. So in that sense, Korean is technically written Korean is technically easier than English, but it's the pronunciation that is like impossible. Whereas when it comes to Japanese, it's the complete opposites. When it
Where
comes to
pronunciation is easier, but writing is harder.
Yeah, like pronunciation is pretty easy. Like my Japanese friends would tell me that my pronunciation is pretty spot on. Like my Japanese friends would say that I pronounce, Japanese better than any other foreigner that I ever come across. Like let's see, a Japanese person actually said this to me that my pronunciation is far better than college students. They even Yeah, college students can't even keep up with me. But when it comes to written Japanese, okay, it's easy to learn hiragana and katakana. Like it doesn't take long to learn hiragana and katakana, but it's the kanji. Now, kanji is the Chinese words. Now, the Chinese words that is like impossible because it's like you need to learn to like 5,000 kanji. And it's like,
Oh my
how
goodness.
am I going to memorize like
Yeah,
5,000
like you
kanji?
basically had to submerge yourself in Japan to just memorize anything for Japanese because like it's super hard to find, I guess, something related to Japan because obviously there's like a lot of challenge, a lot of Chinatowns across America, like some in California, some in DC. But as far as like trying to find something related to Japanese, it's going to be really hard to find something like that in America unless you go to Japan. Or you either go to Japan or maybe go to Hawaii. Because when I went to Hawaii, for some strange reason, the most second spoken language besides English there when I was there was actually Japanese. Like there's like a lot of Japanese tourists in Hawaii, or like a lot of Japanese people living in the Hawaiian Islands.
Oh yeah, Japanese is really from the pronunciation, like spoken Japanese, is easier to pick up on, but Korean is like the pronunciation is like so difficult, and I really can't hear the difference. And if you cannot hear the difference, how could you pronounce the words if you know so many of these sounds are the same to you? It's kind of like all the words are sound the same, and it's like with somebody, so it's like, how the fuck do I pronounce that? Where whereas Japanese is more similar, the pronunciation is more similar to English, therefore it's a lot easier to pick up on.
Right, not to mention I think the Japanese they also have like specific like titles for every time you refer to somebody. Like if you just use son for example, that means like Mr. or Mrs. depending on the context. And sometimes you use stuff like chan or kun to like refer to other people. And so basically depending on the status of a person, they would use like those kind of horrifics to address somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Is it the same thing for like Korean or is it
I don't
different?
know because Korean was so difficult. I was just like, fuck, this is just hard as fuck. I mean, again, Japanese is far easier than Korean. Like, by a landslide, except for the written part. Written part, you could learn, written Korean easy. Like you can learn the alphabet quickly and easily. But how can you talk to anybody? You can't really talk to anybody. So it's like the fuck. At least with Japan, you could talk to people. However, Japanese people are more shy. So that's weird. Like the one language that's easier to use, the Japanese are more shy.
It's kind of figures, you know.
Hmm?
It kind of figures that like the one language that's easier to people are the more shy ones.
Yeah,
So
it's like the Koreans are more like Americans. They are more willing to talk. They're more willing to socialize. And I heard that like when foreigners go to like Korea, it's easier to get like a Korean boyfriend than it is to get a Japanese boyfriend. And it's like it's really weird. So like and it's like when people make a Korean friend, the friendship lasts longer. It's like so, and they say that Koreans are a lot more honest, where Japanese have tatemae hone, you know.
right, right. Yeah, so it's like so it's not just the language that's different. So like the whole culture and how they interact is different.
Yeah, like there is behavior difference between Koreans and Japanese. There's actually like I'm sure you heard of Find Your Love in Japan, Nobita.
Oh yeah, I know that guy.
You know him.
Not literally know him, but I know what you're talking about. I've seen his channel a lot.
Oh yeah, he made a video about the differences between Japanese culture and Korean culture. There's quite a bit of difference. It's not really all that similar at all.
I kind
Not
of find it
really.
so funny how a guy like him from Japan knows so much about black culture. Yeah.
I think it's because he is. I think has he been to America before? It probably is because he's been to America before, and it's probably because he watches a lot of YouTube. Like he seems to know who some black guy is. I think he had some black guy on his channel. I think so,
Yeah, I
and
think
he
so. Like it was a video compilation with him. It was also some other famous black YouTubers. I was surprised that he did not call me or tell me something about this project. I would love to have been part of that video.
Me too. Like, I wish I could talk to Nobita, but it's like, how do I get in touch with him? Because he is like one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. He is so nice and friendly, and like some of his subjects it seems to be referencing. I mean, not only does it reference black people, which I'm black, but it's like weeaboos. Like his videos on weeaboos, and it's like, man, I get called a weeaboo, and for me, I just adopted the title. I tried to just make it, positive. I poke fun of it by going hashtag Weeabo Nation. And people are like confused, like, what are you doing, Gran? But it's like, I'm just poking fun, something that is used to like put me down or make fun of me. I just take it, I co-opt it, and, I'm just making it my own thing. Weeabo Nation. It's kind of like how I'm following a guy who calls himself Oreo, but he is co-opting a title that is used to put
Oh, I
him
know that
down.
YouTuber.
I
Like
don't
he
think he's
follows
the
me on my
YouTuber.
Twitter account and also my YouTube channel.
Hmm? I don't. I think it's a different Oreo because
Oh,
the Oreo I'm talking about. He's a small Twitter user. I don't think he even
yeah,
has
yeah.
the.
He also has a YouTube account.
Really?
I follow his YouTube account.
Really? I'm not sure if I'm gonna send you a link to his Twitter because I'm
Okay.
not sure if we're talking about the same guy. Let me see. Anyway, so I'm surprised we both agree about the
Jordan Peele.
yeah, the Jordan Peele thing because I thought that there was going to. I put Oreo Switzer on the side chat. I thought that there's going to be more of a stronger disagreement. Like I thought that there might possibly been a debate here because it's like, okay, this one is going to perhaps lead to a debate, and and I thought that like I may have to be like, okay, like let me try to explain it. So I was more surprised that you actually agreed with me on that one because I have
I
no
don't think we really have a single real strong disagreement on anything, really.
yeah because I have because when it comes to him wanting more black representation, he's doing it out of his own free will rather than a feminazi lynch mob saying we want more black characters when a producer probably doesn't really hang out with any black people. So he would be perhaps, like writing a stereotype like this person, steals things. And it's going to be more of a bigger backlash if you don't know what you're talking about. Or the white black character, where there is a character that's physically black, but they act totally white. It's like you're black on the
The
outside,
strange
but
thing about like the whole thing for this controversy, like the one thing I noticed that the people who oppose this don't really point out is that in the movies for both Get Out as well as Us, he actually has some white characters in the movie because like for Get Out, of course, the black guy obviously had to go to the family, and the family of his girlfriend, of course, were white people. And also for us, of course, like the main characters were like the family fighting against the doppelgangers. However, like there was also some white characters in the movie too. There were like minor roles, and so obviously he does hire white people, just not as the lead roles.
oh yeah, I didn't know that because I'm not much of a movie person. I don't watch.
He also produced this movie, Black Klansman, that also had white people in that movie too. It was produced by Jordan Peele. It was also directed by Spike Lee. And what's so funny about this is like earlier this year at the Oscars, like I think Spike Lee he won like the Academy Award for like best screenplay, best adapted screenplay, and he was really happy about that. And he was also nominated for Best Director. But as soon as he lost for Best Director, he got really sour really quickly.
Oh, okay. I am going to read chats for a little bit. I don't want to ignore anybody. John
Okay.
W. News says, "Hi there, Black News. What? The news has a color now. I know black is a shade, not a color, but who cares? Cautionary Asian education. They also have high suicide rates as a result of academic pressure. Yeah, I've heard of that. That really sucks. Could I suggest that the problem is not so much race as poverty?" And I do think, yeah, there is the problem would be poverty, because there's going to be more, unfortunately, because it time is linear. First there was slavery, then there was segregation, but then there's like, after segregation came redlining, and so black people tend to be more impoverished. Now there are impoverished white people too, don't get me wrong, but I just do think that it's probably more of a class issue than a race issue, because I don't think I have much in common with Jesse Smollett. Like, if I committed, 16 felonies, I'm going to jail. I'm no Jesse Smollett. Now, Stalin D. Man, still says, "Ren, are you into the blaxploitation movie of the 1970s? I like those. It must pay. Pam Grier was a real piece of
Work.
chocolate." I haven't really seen many movies from the
Oh, I've seen
1970s.
plenty of movies. I could probably tell people what kind of movies I like from the black exploitation X like era. Like some good movies that I've seen from the black exploitation stuff was movies like Coffee, and also Coffee has Pan Greer in it. I also seen movies like Blackula, and it's ridiculous, but it's also a really fun movie to watch. There was also this one movie that I seen before. It's something with like the badass song or something. It was like something with badass song. I forgot the first part of the name. That was pretty good. There's also this recent movie that came out called Black Dynamite, and that was also really fun to watch. Really, really fun. Really, really good stuff.
And let's see, MC also says Hangul is phonic written language, but the rest of Asia uses characterization. Yeah, Hangul, that's Korean, and damn, Korean is the written Korean. Like I said, it's not hard at all. It's easier to pick up on the writing, but it's the pronunciation that kills you. It's like, once when I just saw the pronunciation, it was a great demotivator. It was really depressing because it's like, I couldn't, like, I can't tell the difference between the sounds, some of these sounds, and it's like, "Oh, you gotta pronounce it this way, and you gotta do this, you gotta do that." And it's like, damn, this is depressing. Like, like, whoa, let me go watch anime because I feel really, really depressed now.
I guess if you're used to like something like anime or like of course like live action Japanese movies, obviously it's gonna be more easier to understand like the Japanese than the Korean.
Yeah, I have an easier time understanding. Like, sometimes, like, with no translations at all, like with no subtitles, like on the screen, I could understand like full sentences, or like I could like understand some of the back and forth dialogue even without the help of translations. But Korean is more difficult, but Japanese is much
I think as far as
easier.
my the Asian movies that I own, like the majority of them, they tend to either be from China, Hong Kong, or like Japan. Like I don't think I have any sort of Korean stuff, just Japanese, Chinese, and that's basically it. Japanese and Chinese.
I like Shiny. Shiny was a great they disbanded, but Shiny was a great Korean band.
It's like some of the stuff that I have for like the Asian stuff is like mostly just kung fu and action and karate.
I like T-Vice. T-Vice is a Japanese movie, but I think it's targeting women. I mean, to me, T-Vice is targeting women. I don't think that there's gonna be many men who would like a movie like that. But I thought it was a good movie.
As far as the latest Japanese thing that I seen, there was like this one movie that was made during the 1970s that I recently saw just a few days ago. It was something with a guy. He's a famous Japanese action star. His name is Sonny Chiba, and he made like a series of movies called The Street Fighter. Now, this is not related to like the video game series, but like when it came out in like 19, what was it, 1974? I think they call it the Street Fighter. It was just so over the top when I first saw that movie. Like it was so crazy. Like some of the finishing moves are just so outrageous. Like you had to see it to believe it. Like for example, like there was like this fight I saw where basically the guy just punched the guy and the guy had like his teeth knocked out. There was this other scene where basically it shows like an x-ray of the guy getting hit and he just spits out like a pool of blood after he got hit. There was also this one crazy scene, this is like so over the top, where like there was a rapist trying to rape a girl. Then the hero Sonny Chiba comes in and he goes to the guy and he castrates the guy with his bare hands. It's so crazy. So crazy.
Man, there is this Chinese movie I wanted to send to you, but Crunchyroll took it down. But it's a movie that I really wanted you to see. Like, I forgot the call. I think it's called The Unusuals, or The Unusual Suspects. I forgot what the name of it. And Crunchyroll used to have it. I was like, man, I'm gonna send this to Tyler. Tyler is really gonna enjoy this movie, and Crunchyroll took it down. It's like, fuck it.
There was like another show that I saw that was like so messed up in so many ways. It was on Netflix from Japan. It was called, what was it? It was, hold on, let me look at the name really quickly. It was something with smoke, I think. It was, let me look at the name real quick. Let's see. Something with smoke. Smoking. That was the name of it. It was called Smoking. It's on Netflix, and so what happens in that show is like so messed up. Like you had to see it to believe it. Like it's about like a group of people who are just hired to like capture people, and then just to rip out their bodies into pieces. It's so crazy. It's called Smoking.
Well, the Chinese movie that I liked, it was about these people, like they were like stealing jewelry, and like they accidentally killed somebody, and then they found themselves like in this like pub or whatnots, and the police like were after him or whatnot. And then it's kind of a lot like these people they actually managed to commit murder even though it's accidental and gets away with it. Like that's the twisted ending. The twisted ending is that they manage to like frame somebody else, like get somebody else framed for the crime, and they got like an innocent woman to commit a crime just so she could live. Like they did, they were like, if you kill your brother, we would allow you to live. And like she ended up killing her brother so that she could stay alive and whatnot.
Wow.
It was, like, really fucked up and twisted. It's, like, really fucked up. It's like, "Whoa."
One thing I could give like the Japanese credit for is just how fucked up they can make their stuff. Like,
You know,
if you
it was
want
a
to be
Chinese
really
movie that
mind
was
fucked, look
fucking
at a Japanese something from Japan or something.
no, no, this movie I was talking about, it was a Chinese film, and it
Oh,
was
Chinese. Sorry.
yeah, it was, like, really fucked up, and it's kind of like, you just see these people that committed a murder and got it away with it, and it's like, "Whoa," and I think it's to I don't know, I think that the goal is to prevent people from being idealistic. I don't know how the culture in China works, and I don't know I don't really know much about the culture
Yeah,
at
like
all.
I know more about like Japanese culture than Chinese cultures. The most I know about like the Chinese is that they, of course, built the Great Wall of China. Of course, they also have like, of course, kung fu. That's like the birthplace of kung fu. And so that's the only two things I probably know about it. And of course, the food is really good too. Just go to like a place, just any place across America to have Chinese food is like super good.
Yeah, for me, I know more about Japan. It's because more people talk about Japan. It's like you have, Nobita, find your love in Japan. You have, people who speak English who tell you everything that you want to know about Japan. And, like there is more, interracial marriage between Americans and Japanese. So it's like it's easier to learn about Japan than any other Asian country.
Yeah, like it's kind of strange because like China is also, I think, the largest, not just in Asia, but in the entire world in terms of population too.
Yeah, it is true. Like, there are more Chinese people than any other group of people in the world. Like, they outnumber everybody. Like, on a technicality, the majority of the world is Asian. And, like in the comparison, like, I think worldwide, white people are actually the minority worldwide. Like, I think 10% of the world's population is white. However, like, because China is so huge, I think that disproportionately, the world is disproportionately actually Asian.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Like they talk about how white people in this country have white privilege, yet the the Asians could, go into higher positions, make more money than the actual white people in this country.
I mean, I do think that Asians are a lot more powerful than people give them credit for because it's kind of like I heard of a situation in England where it's happening in Australia too, where there are millionaires from China. They would go and they would buy out hotels, and then people who live in Australia and England could not, live there because it's too expensive.
And it's not. I think there's also more examples of this because, like, more recently, Hollywood has been teaming up with China to co-produce their movies. There's movies like The Meg, for example, which is like an American-Chinese co-production. And so a lot of Chinese studios are investing money into Hollywood productions to produce their movies. And not to mention, sometimes when they film the movies, they have the Chinese demographic in mind so that when they shoot it, it's not objectionable to their standard and to their culture.
Also, there is, like not only do they do millionaire Chinese people like buy out property in England and Australia. Have you seen the documentary Empire of Dust of all the Chinese people going into Africa?
No, I haven't.
I'm going to send you Empire of Dust. It is really interesting. It's a documentary, and it's kind of like I do think that the Chinese are trying to get, minerals or something. They want something from Africa. They want Africa's resources, so they're sending people from China to Africa to get African resources. So it seems like I don't know what's going to happen, but I can see China becoming a world leader. Like I can see China surpassing America.
Yeah, practically everything is made from China. So it's like your clothes, your console, your electronics, everything that you know made from China.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Professor Platypus is in the chats. He says, "Hey, Ran, and Japan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan are among the most populous in the world, and Indonesia."
Huh, Indonesia. Oh my goodness. Like people point to Indonesia as like, a perfect example of a moderate Muslim country, but if you've seen the news of what's happening right now in Indonesia, it's like the complete opposite of that. Like it seems as though like it's becoming more and more radical with this kind of religious stuff.
Okay, I found Empire of Dust. I'm going to send it to you on Sidetrack so you
Okay.
could watch it when you want. And I, it's a documentary, but it's very fucked up. I mean, it's really fucked up because I mean, you have this black guy who could speak like 7 different languages, which is really impressive. Like, I wish I
Like,
could speak.
holy shit, I can't really freaking process at least 2, let alone 7.
Yeah, this black guy can fluently speak 7 different languages, which I think is awesome. But have this like Chinese guy that keeps, berating him. He keeps calling him dumb and stupid and lazy. And like towards the end, you can see like the black guys talking. And it's like, oh yeah, that these Chinese guys think that we're apes, right? It's like it's so like twisted and fucked up to watch. It's like, man, I just watched the most fucked up documentary that I ever seen.
Oh man, I'm gonna probably try to get something to drink while I watch this tonight.
Yeah, I watched it. It's like, man, this is so fucked up and twisted. And it's like this Chinese guy only speaks Chinese, but he acts, superior to everybody. And I mean, they act like a racist stereotype of a white guy in the 1930s. It was just so fucked up. And then they just said it was like, whoa, like I was just taken aback.
Okay, I'll be sure to watch the documentary when I get a chance tonight.
Yeah. I think we said everything we want to say, and you are busy. You wanted to edit a video?
Yep, I'm gonna edit my video and I'm gonna post it on my channel once we're done.
Professor Platypus says it's about the Congo. So does anybody have any questions for Tyler while Tyler is here? Or if anybody wants to just say hello to Tyler while Tyler is here.
Yeah, I don't mind answering your questions. Just as long as it's not personal, I'll answer any question.
Yeah. Any questions or comments for Tyler?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch a tiger by his toe.
Well, I could put a link to your Twitter in the channel's description for anybody who wants to find you.
Okay, my social media. Oh my goodness. Well, my old Twitter account got suspended more recently, but you can find my new Twitter account. It's just Tyler Preston 20. My Facebook is also called Tyler Preston 20, and my YouTube channel again called Tyler Preston 20. So you can find me on those places. I also have a Minds.com account, which is also called Tyler Preston 20.
Professor Platypus says, my question, how much would a woodchuck
Let me try to say it really fast for you. How much wood can a woodchuck chuck and a woodchuck could chuck wood? I can. I don't know, man.
I have a question for you. What happened to your previous Twitter account?
So what happened to my previous Twitter account was that I got reported by somebody. They thought that my tweets were hate speech, and so I got reported by them. And of course, Twitter deleted it, and so I had to make a new account to get back on Twitter.
Wait a minute. Were you speaking Spanish or were you speaking English?
It was some sort of Spanish tweet, if I remember correctly.
Oh, so you got suspended for what you said in Spanish.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was possible. Like I thought, man, I could.
I thought, you could just say whatever shit you want in a foreign language and just get away with it.
Yeah, because I heard that was true for YouTube. Like I heard that if you say, they say you can't get away with saying in English if you say it's in, if you say it's in a different language, YouTube won't do anything because that's what Queenie said it to V. Queenie said to V that they don't check, Spanish or, Italian or whatnot, that they only check for English.
Yeah, I thought it would also happen, when I just responded to that person, oh well.
Yeah, not that, but I also got reported for a tweets that I made that was in Japanese.
What was it about?
Like in my tweets, I thought I was being sneaky and clever. And, I said, Sheena. You probably know what Sheena means. Like, I would tell you guys in DMs what it means if you don't know what it means, or I would post a translation, but because I can't, it is too much of a risk to say on, I don't know, these progressive platforms like YouTube and Twitter.
Twitter.
Yeah, because I already got reported one time for saying Sheena's, so I definitely can't see it again because if I do, people are going to report it, and it's like, man, and I thought I was being clever too. It's why, yeah, I thought I was being so smart and so clever. It's why I say on Twitter that you actually have more free speech on Tumblr than on Twitter because you actually could say the N word on Tumblr. Like you could actually write the N word actually out on Tumblr and not get censored, but you would get censored for saying the N word on Twitter. There are things you can say on Tumblr that you can't say on Twitter. So Tumblr is more of a free speech platform.
It's not just like, Tumblr that's kind of more free speech. It's like Minds is also more free speech. Like basically, I have not heard anybody just getting bans from Minds.com for just, saying something controversial. It's like almost non-existent. I haven't heard any such reports of that.
Yes, so it's kind of like I've been using other websites more often. I've been using, Tumblr more. I've been using Minds more. I've been even using Gab more. And I originally hated Gab. Like I viewed it as a white supremacist neo-Nazi website. But I've been using Gab more often just to say more what I want without consequences.
So it's like full of those kind of people and that site, or it's like just a subsection.
It's like I saw some really racist cartoons where you
Oh,
could tell, like you could tell that somebody in the alt right made it based off how they drew, black people. Like those old
oh
Sambo
my goodness, like
cartoons.
those
Yeah,
like,
those like Sambo cartoons where they draw black people in a really ugly, hideous way.
oh my goodness, not those.
Yeah, and it makes, you feel uncomfortable there because it's kind of like when you see this when you see this Sambo cartoon of like it's like, well, I don't like this at all. But it's kind of a lot like I can't s- I can't say anything on Twitter. It's like impossible to have a real conversation because it's kind of like I gotta be like, let's just continue this in DMs. No, 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 we cannot have this conversation publicly because somebody may report this conversation. Let's continue this in DMs. No, no, no. We got to continue this conversation elsewhere, or else this story will get reported because that is how I avoid getting reported. I just tell this person, let's carry this conversation on in DMs because people do report you. The system, the bots don't report you. Other people do.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. Like, at this point, like, basically, when it comes down to it, I heard like more recently there was some sort of report, and it turns out that companies like Google and I think Facebook and Twitter are now among the most hated companies for Americans. I heard it was like a video from Sargon of Akkad. It showed like this graph in this chart of all the companies most hated. Of course, it was Google, Facebook, and Twitter, and of course, Electronic Arts. Like, who likes Electronic Arts at this point? Like, who does?
Wait a minute. Sarga made a video saying that.
Yeah, it was like you
What's
used
the
like some
name of
sort
the
of like a
video?
report that
Can you
shows
give me
like
the
the most hated companies in America.
Can you
And it
give
was
me
like Electronic Arts, Facebook, Twitter, and those other social media sites.
can you give me the name of the video so I can watch it
Hold on.
or
I'll try to
link it?
find it as soon as I can, I guess, after the stream is done.
Oh yeah. Or yeah, send me the link on Twitter. You could either tweet it at me or send it to me through DMs. But yeah, it's impossible to say anything. Like whenever me and a person are trying to have a conversation, it's like, no, I can't say this publicly. We got to say this in DMs. No, I can't say that publicly. It's like you can't ever really have a conversation with anybody. So it's kind of like, why the fuck am I using this platform? And no, no, you are going to be surprised about this. You are not going to believe me. But one of the accounts I was following that got reported, it's the picture accounts. It's only pictures of nature, and they don't even talk to anybody. So this account talks to nobody. It's only pictures of trees in nature, and they are in restricted mode. And it's like, how the fuck? How the fuck? And it's like, let me let's Oh, I'm gonna send you the link. I'm gonna put it inside chat, and because it's a shocker, and it's like yeah, it's like photo stock editor, and it's like the fuck. How did you get in restricted mode? And I mean, just go yes view profile, and if you do, you're just gonna see nothing but pictures. You're gonna see pictures of birds and flowers and puppies. And you're gonna be like, how the fuck did you get in restricted mode?
Wow. Uh, uh, like it sounds impossible to be in restricted mode if you just show like animals. I mean, that's like the safest of the safe.
Yeah, it's like I sent you, it's on side chats. Do you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
You're going to the Twitter right now because it's like it's only pictures. It's only pictures of like puppies and rivers and trees. And it's like I look and it's like, how the fuck did you get reported? What are you going to be reported for?
Oh my god. Ah, wow. A fucking it's an owl and the cherry blossoms too. And another owl. And a
Yeah,
dog. And a sunset. What the fuck?
yeah,
Oh
it's
my
in
god.
restricted mode, and I'm like, how the fuck did I get in restricted mode? Anyway, thank you for coming, Tyler. It was great having you here. This has been a fun discussion. Do you have any final words?
I guess I could try to just plug in my social media accounts again. My Twitter, my minds.com, Facebook, YouTube is just my username, Tyler Preston20. Thanks again for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And hopefully we can have some more future conversations on your channel or my channel or whatever.
I could come on your channel, really?
Sure, anybody's invited to my channel.
Oh,
Anybody.
really? I'm surprised to hear that. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on. You have been a wonderful guest. It is great talking to you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.